Hi, boys and girls. We are going to be talking about math today. This lesson is for April 20th on your map. Today, if we look in the week 5 and 6 folder, you're going to notice that there is no folder for session 1. There are not any worksheets that go with this at all. So what you're going to be doing today is mostly kind of listening. But boys and girls, I'm going to be asking some questions, so I want you to be ready to think about them. You can answer them out loud. I know I can't hear you, but you can still kind of yell it out, okay? So, and just one other thing, you can find on the map, you can find the PowerPoint I'm using for this week and next week right here. And you can find all the videos right here are in this link. And I do plan to link each day's video on that day. While we're looking at the map, today has an interactive clock, and there's also a working analog clock over here. These things you can use really anytime. I thought this one would be helpful for today, and this working analog clock would be helpful next lesson, but you can use them whenever you need them. Okay, so we're going to be talking about time. So we have practiced reading analog and digital clocks during our number corner. When we flipped every day, we read a clock. So right on this first page, there is the interactive clock is right here. I'll show you what that looks like. This is a clock that you can kind of move the hands. So you can move, if you just want to move the minute hand, the long one, you can lock the hour hand and then move it wherever you want it. Or if you don't want to do that, when it works like a real clock, if you move it and they're unlocked, you'll see the hour hand is kind of moving. The red one is moving as I go around. That's what a real clock would do. The other clock is called the working clock. This one is actually going to be ticking along like it's plugged into the wall and it's working. So I would change it to digits. It's going to have Roman numerals, which is tricky. So this has the second hand right now. And actually, this is the current time of me recording this video. So the second hand is going. So you could kind of use this as a stopwatch, or you could use it as a timer. We haven't talked a lot about the second hand yet. So this is going to be helpful when we talk about that. All right. So I have lots of questions to ask. So boys and girls, you need to be ready to think and yell out the answers at home. The first question says, what time do you get up in the morning? So think about that. Maybe you're not sure. Maybe you need to ask mom or dad, but think about what time you get up in the morning. And I picked a time that I think a lot of people wake up, especially now that we don't have school to get ready for, 7 o'clock a.m. So you see the hour hand and the minute hand, 7 o'clock. I think that's kind of a time a lot of people get up. But you think about what time you wake up in the morning. Next, bedtime. What time do you go to bed? Yell it out, everybody. All right, I put 8 o'clock on this clock. Now, you might go to bed at a different time, maybe 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock. We all kind of have different schedules, but that's about time for kids to go to bed. What time do we have lunch at school? So read this clock. This is our lunchtime at school for everybody. You might have a different lunchtime while you're at home, but this is our lunchtime at school, and it is 11:30. Now, can you guys think of another way to say 11:30? Another way to say 11:30 is 11:30. So we talked about that because when we look at our, let's look at this one, interactive clock. If we have 11, this is 11 o'clock. Here's 11 o'clock. We're good at reading those ones. If the minute hand goes straight down, it's going halfway around the clock. So you'll see the hour hand is right in the middle. It's past the 11, but it hasn't gotten to the 12 yet. So we're going to call that 11:30. All right. So just a quick review about how do we tell what time it is on an analog clock. The hour hand is the small hand, and it points to the hour. The big hand is the minute hand, so that tells us the minutes. So when it's pointing straight up, we say o'clock. So this clock right here says 3 o'clock. Why do people care about time? Does it matter what time it is? So think about that for a second, and you can yell it out. Why does it matter? Why do people care about time? One reason people care about time is because we have to be places at the right time. So for example, when the school day starts, you need to know what time it is so that you get to school on time. Or maybe you have a practice for a sports team. You have to be there on time. Okay, people are counting on you to be places at certain times. So that's why it's important to know what time it is. All right, now here's a few questions, and I don't really have the answers. You guys can think about this, and maybe the next time you brush your teeth, you can try it. This says, how long does it take for you to brush your teeth? So that might be different for everybody. So the next time you brush your teeth, maybe you can kind of try to time it or count and see how long it takes you to brush your teeth. Same thing for this one. How long does it take you to eat your breakfast? Well, that might depend on what you're eating or if you're distracted while you're eating, right? So think about that the next time you eat breakfast. How long is it taking you? Hopefully it's not taking you an hour. That would be too long. All right, and the last one says, how long does it take for you to get to school? So that could be riding in the car, that could be riding on the bus, and that's going to be different depending on where your house is. So you might live closer than some other friends or farther from some other friends. Now, we're not going to school right now, so we'll have to take some time to figure that one out the next time we go to school. How long do we get for recess? So we haven't had recess in a while either, but when we're out on the playground, we have about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes before we have to line up and go to lunch. So that's how long our recess is. So some vocabulary about time. An important word we haven't talked a lot about is a second. We've talked about minutes and hours, okay? So there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So let's go back to this working analog clock. When this second hand gets up to the 12, okay, so right now it will take 60 seconds to get all the way around the clock, and that will be 1 minute. That means this minute hand is moving from this mark to this mark. It will be 1 minute once it goes all the way around. So it takes 60 seconds to make 1 minute. And it takes 60 minutes to make 1 hour. So let's look at our interactive clock here. If we are at 12 o'clock, here's 12 o'clock, and I move this blue minute hand, this is 1 minute, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. If I go all the way around this clock, it will be 60 minutes. Now watch what the red hand is doing, the hour hand. It's moving from the 12 to the 1. So now it's 1 o'clock. It took 60 minutes to go from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. All right, now let's talk about a second. How long is a second? So we like to think about seconds as counting, but you have to count the right way. Some of you can count really fast, which is great. But if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that is not, each number is not a second. I'm going very fast. If I want to count how many seconds something is, I'm going to count like this, like it says at the bottom. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. So that would be 5 seconds. Okay, it's not just as fast as you count. A second is about when you say 1, 1,000. Okay, and you can see that when you look at this clock, you can see the seconds, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Okay, you got to kind of keep it at the same pace. Now, what kinds of things could you do in 1 second? Now, there's a little chart here to give you some ideas. You could do some of these right now if you want with me. Do a jumping jack. One jumping jack would probably take 1 second. Flip the page in a book. That would take 1 second. Touch your toes. 1 second. Bounce a ball. Snap your fingers. Open a door. Blink. 1 second. Raise your hand. Oh, we can all do that. Throw a ball. Turn on a light. Answer the phone. Sit in a seat. Sneeze. Sneezing even takes probably 1 second. Count to 2. 1, 2. A cartwheel. Taking 1 step. Moving fast, I think that says. I can't tell. So that all of those things would take about 1 second. So you can think about maybe some other things you could do that take 1 second. And try some of those if you want. So how long is a minute? Remember that. A minute is 60 seconds. So what can you do in 1 minute? Now, we don't have any answers here. You're going to have to think about this. What things would take a minute? I'm going to say maybe brushing your teeth takes a minute. Okay. What else? Maybe making your bed takes a minute. Maybe folding a blanket. So walk around the house, see if you can find what other things could you do that would take 60 seconds or 1 minute. Okay, now an hour. How long is an hour? 1 hour is 60 minutes. Oops. All right, so what kinds of things could you do in an hour? Now, I know there are some TV shows that are half an hour or an hour. Maybe playing a baseball game would take an hour. Maybe you play with your Legos and that takes an hour. Maybe what else could take an hour? Maybe cleaning up your room might take an hour if you're messy, right? So think about other things that might take an hour. All right, now for this part, they're going to be talking about cubes in the polydrons. Now I sent some of these home with you. You could do this with anything. And I'm not going to take the time to do all of them, but I'm going to tell you what you could do. So if you want to do it, you can pause the video and try it out or try it out later. So this one says, gather your materials. So you have cubes from me, you have popsicle sticks, you have a couple polydrons, maybe you have some things from home you want to use. If I said you have 1 second to play, okay? What do you think you could get done in 1 second? Let's go to our clock. Are you ready? So if you have your materials, get them ready, and I'll tell you when to go. And you're going to play for 1 second, okay? Ready, set, go. Stop. That was 1 second. What did you get done? Did you have time to build something? Probably not. 1 second is a really short time when you're playing with things like that. But what if you had 1 minute to play? Okay, so I'm going to suggest that you do this on your own. If you get the interactive clock, you can wait for the second hand to be at the 12 until it goes all the way around and see what you can get done in 1 minute. I bet you can get a little bit more done. Then you could try it again. Try it with an hour. Try building with things for 1 hour and see how much you get done. I bet there's going to be a big difference between 1 second, 1 minute, and 1 hour. Okay, and then you could also try it for just 10 minutes. 10 minutes is probably a good time, a good amount of time to play with your materials. See how much you can build in 10 minutes. All right, last question. So think about what do you think you'll be doing 1 second from now? Yell it out. What will you be doing? I'm going to guess that in 1 second, you're going to still be listening to me because I'm not done talking. In 1 minute from now, we might be finishing up this lesson, okay? Think about what you're going to be doing 1 hour from now. Now, that's going to probably be different for everybody, but in 60 minutes, what do you think you might be doing? Okay, so think about that. That is our lesson today. So really all you did was listen to me talk and think about these things. And you can think about these things while you're at home also. Okay, so we're going to talk about time a little bit more next time. And remember, you can find all of these things in our math folder, or you can find them on the map. Most of these things are linked onto the map that you might need, but there's no papers, nothing you really need to do. You just might want to kind of look at these clocks and play around with them a little bit. But that's it. All right, I will see you guys next time. Today.